Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, back with another Kamihime project video. Now, this one I'm going to try and keep short because it's been done a few times, this event. But, well, technically a few times because of the whole, thing that we had with the All-Stars. I do believe Nandi was one of them. But, anyways, this is an event where you're going to want to try and get the weapon more than the Adolan, but the Adolan's pretty good too. Because White has a decent hammer grid, and if you had a few hammers already, you should be set up for that one. So it's very important to do this because if you're working on a white team, this is practically the last decent free-to-play weapon you'll probably get for a while. And it is hard to compete with other white users on the server because they either A, been here for a long time and probably have stuff that's better than this, or B, they're like me and they've spent on the game and have way better than what the free-to-play will have. So this is practically like one of the last few chances to catch up until way later on when the raid changes happen. So it's very important to get this hammer, especially when weapon skills get rebalanced too, because I remember Elaborate becomes pretty good for Medea at that point. But anyways, this is an Advent event. If you've done well in the previous Advent, you should do well in this one because it's just like the previous one where you will never ever be faced with weakness damage. Now this time it is light element, so Dark's going to have the advantage. The last one we had, which was Cave Palug, or however you pronounce her name, it was the opposite. It was Dark and Light had the advantage for that. Go figure. So if you were working towards a Dark team and actually did something like Cave Palug, then you could be a little bit more built up for this one. Who knows? But anyways, Advent event, so you're on your own. Same stuff applies as the last event for getting different things. So the Adolan's worth getting. The low rate weapon, priority. I have to say, that's priority. Definitely get the gacha tickets. The raid Kamihime ones you might be able to skip if you have all the previous SR Kamihime to get from raid events. If you're missing a few, then this is your chance to try and get them. But it's still random. Of course, get the grimoires and the Dragonic Eye Shards and stuff as you need it. Because remember, green orbs you do have to keep for getting 4th tier souls, which is the S class. So you do want to be wary of if you're getting the Dragonic Eye Shards or not. But Magic Jewels is always a definite try to get, so there's that too. Now, going into the fight itself, it's essentially a damage race, and the main trick with this is the fact that with her burst, it is always 5 times random damage in normal mode, and it's always AoE damage in raging. And she will always put up rampaging and double attack and overheat. So she will try to up her combo rate and really try to up her damage output because rampaging will do a lot of damage. Now the deal with the triggers is the fact that she will the first turn just do normal attacks, and there is a chance for her to combo on the first one, which is when she has no orbs. When she has 1 orb, it will be guaranteed double, and she will remove the double attack and put a confirmed triple on her. Now the tricky part is if you remove orbs a little bit too early, she'll just come up with another triple attack. So orb removal is going to kind of work against you depending on where you sit up and do it. Now, when she's at 2 orbs, she will normal attack and cancel the triple. If you're going to do anything with the orb removal, that's probably a time to try and pull it off because you won't get hit with a forced combo. And then whenever she goes into stun, she will heal herself and remove debuffs off herself. It is going to be a 50,000 heal on expert, it is going to be 100,000 on ultimate, and it is going to be 200,000 on Ragnarok. Also, ultimate and above, she will remove 3 debuffs off herself. It'll be removing 2 on expert, and it happens every time she transitions into stun. So whenever you put her in the stun status, she'll do it, but she won't do it again until she's put in the stun status a second time, if it's possible. Now, that said, you may not want to be too reliant on debuffs, because if you cannot kill her quickly, then you're going to lose your debuffs at some point. So when you know you're about to send her into stun, that's probably the time to save up on your debuffs, because it will let you reapply them after she removes them. In the case of her HP, 620,000 on expert, 1,150,000 on ultimate, and 2,650,000 on Ragnarok. Also, keep in mind that the overheat will do damage to her every time she makes a turn. So it will give you free damage, basically. And the big thing too is the fact that if you're going to try to nuke her during stun, that's where the stun nukers would kick in, because of the fact that you were about to lose your debuffs anyways, so that would be a good time to try and use your burst and try to hit her pretty hard if you're going to do anything with that. You definitely want to get her out of raging anyway, so raging or stun is probably the best times to really try to pile on the damage. But keep in mind that stun will remove debuffs the first time she takes an action in stun. So that's something to be very wary about. In fact, she just got an awakening, and Nephthys can actually do stun nuking normally. She gets better and gets a huge boost regardless of mode change when she awakens, though. So that's something to know. Now, as for what you're getting, this is why Nandi is actually pretty good, because even though it is character attack, she gives you a burst gauge increase, and that's the big thing about saying her as a main. Burst gauge increase is actually quite strong, because, well, outside of accessories, because it's too low for it to matter on accessories. But the fact that you can change all your single hits from 10 to 12 burst gauge is big. And then you can, if you want to, get a second Eidolon that can do it, because Nandi's not the only one that can do it for light. But that means you can start racking up a lot of extra burst gauge whenever you attack, and the more you can combo, the better this is. So keep that in mind. For just a record, and this is it's a bit memeish at my point, but a weaker player may or may not be able to pull it off. But if you have 2 burst gauge Eidolons, and then you have somebody like, say, Yori's burst gauge buff, that is 70% more burst gauge fill rate. So that means you get 17 per hit. If you triple attack, that is almost 60. It's actually 51. Which effectively means you can full burst if all your Kamihime double attack. I mean, not double, triple attack in 2 turns. So that's very fast. Now, depending on what your output is, it might still be better to do something like, say, get an add-on or whatever, but like get a better add-on. But it's still the fact that it can really speed up your burst cycles, and light is really built on burst cycles. So there's that. There's even our Kamihime that boosts up light cycles. So yeah. Now the hammer. This is a big thing. When you final break it, it is large assault, but it's also medium elaborate. Elaborate is not too good right now, but it becomes good later when the skill rework happens, because elaborate's not giving too much of a boost on your ability damage, because it's only like, I think, roughly 3 or 5%, something really low like that. But it will increase the cap on ability damage much higher later on. For comparison, you would eventually need only 2 large elaborates, and it will give you the maximum boost from weapons. Because you'll still be able to get it from buffs, but it won't be as easy to do as the weapons. That said, elaborate will get better later on, and that's probably a good time to actually have someone like Medea. But it's not something you really have to go too out of your way for. But the fact that it is a light hammer, and hammer's basically the last free-to-play light weapon setup for a very, very long time. I don't even know if there's any other ones outside of hammer or bow. So there's that. Of course, there's staff, but it's not really offensive. And as for the other weapon, the gun, maybe if you need it. I mean, Barrage does get buffed later on as well. Barrage and Rush. But it's something that you don't really need to worry about too much. It's just there for filler, essentially. And if you are going for the missions, water is what you need to do ultimate with. And the other stuff is still the same as last time, where it's like clear with certain rarities. So just do R water for ultimate, and you've got all the missions for that. You can also do the same thing for expert if you pulled it off on ultimate. So that's all I have to say for that one. But anyways, that's all for this. I do have to point out that there should be a Kamihime on the way soon called Narlet Thotep or something. I forgot how to pronounce her name. She was originally SR. They're going to give her an SSR version pretty soon that's limited. So I should mention that. And it is going to be dark based, but she can also work towards other elements too. So she will be quite useful in the Phantom element type stuff. Just to point that out there. But anyways, that's all for this. More is going to come soon, and the reason why I'm not going over her is because I will eventually just do a video that will just cover all that type of stuff. So if you're curious on what she has, it will be in game, but I will eventually start making videos to cover all the Kamihime. But anyways, that's all for this. More to come soon, and take care.